What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another rendition of Truth Be Told. I'm your boy Thomas. This week there wasn't really anything major going on again in politics. You know, the whole Iran-Trump thing, that'll be going on for a little while, but you know, the crazy liberals and Democrats, they'll get over it. The first thing I really want to talk about this week was I saw the trailer for the movie Morbius. Now, Morbius isn't a huge character in the MCU. Most people don't even know who he is. He's shown up with Spider-Man, and he's had a few run-ins with Blade. And the reason being is Spider-Man and him are kind of, or Peter Parker and him are kind of buddies back in the day. And then Blade runs into him quite a bit because he considers him a full-fledged vampire and wants to kill him. The thing with Morbius is he's a type of vampire, but he's not a vampire who usually, kills for blood. He's supposed to be a vampire that basically drains the life essence from people. He feeds off their life essence. And you know, when I watched the trailer, the only thing that really got me excited about seeing Morbius was there's a spot in the trailer where it shows Spider-Man and at the very end of the trailer, it also showed Vulture talking to him. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'll watch it, but it's probably not. It's not a movie that I'm like super excited to see. I'm just like, okay. I guess I'll watch it. No big deal. The next thing I want to talk about is seems to be kind of a heated thing going on YouTube right now. Is how Sir Patrick Stewart has gone off the deep end. He's literally turned to the dark side. He's been taken over by the Borg. It seems like. He did this whole speech, which everybody's been talking about, where he basically trashes the old Star Trek and his character from Next Generation. He trashes all the Star Trek. He couldn't stand really the character that he portrayed as Picard. He really didn't care for it. He wanted to change a bunch of things about him. And he's been given the go-ahead to do that in this new Picard show, Star Trek Picard. It really bums me out that, he's done this. I like Patrick Stewart for the most part as an actor. I have a lot of respect for his acting ability. But as soon as he started talking politics, which he has no expertise at whatsoever, he just went super far left with it. It really crushed me. It sucks. It sucks bad. Because as soon as he did that, just like everyone else has been talked about, that the show Star Trek Picard is another STD, and it's just gonna go down the tubes. Nobody likes the J.J. Abrams timeline, and Kurtzman, or whatever the hell his name is, nobody cares for that idiot either. They keep trying to push politics into Star Trek, and it just don't work. Kurtzman, whatever the hell his name is, that idiot. But yeah, that's a bummer, because I was kind of hoping they'd do right by this show, but no, apparently they're gonna trash it with a bunch of politics. So don't expect this. You shouldn't think, or don't get your hopes up with Picard, because it's just not going to happen. Alright, moving on. Next thing I want to talk about is Eddie Murphy has announced with Netflix that they're working together to do a Beverly Hills Cop 4. Yes, he is doing a sequel after all this time. However, again, don't get your hopes up, because this one is probably not going to be as good as the originals. The 2% or whatever, the alphabet community threw a huge, big, massive fit about a scene in Beverly Hills Cop where he acts part of a gay guy who has gotten an STD, and he's trying to pretend to be this gay guy so he can get into this high society club to talk to this mob boss or gangster or whatever the heck he is. But anyways, the bad guy. Anyways, the alphabet community was throwing a huge fit about it. And Eddie Murphy, bowed down like most of the celebrities do. He bowed down, he apologized and backtracked, said he would never do something like that, that it wouldn't be correct to do something like that in today's film, blah, 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 But the thing is that the audience does not agree with him at all. The audience literally has said that it's still funny. And it's still funny today. It still works today. Only him and the liberals and the 2% alphabet community doesn't like it. So if Eddie can't be let loose to do his comedy like he's normally been known to do back in the 80s, then it's not going to be funny. He's going to be tied down, I guess you could say. And somebody else is going to put the comedy into his mouth, and it's just not going to be funny. Anyways, yeah, the new movie is probably going to suck. Unfortunately, that's a real bummer too. I think there's even one point in time where they were doing it. I think he says it in. He even says it in like Delirious or Raw, one of the two, where he's talking about how, you know, he looked up to Richard Pryor, and he asked him one time. People are complaining that he's too dirty, too foul-mouthed, you know, too raunchy in some of his comedy. And Richard Pryor told him, "Hey, does it make the fucking people laugh?" And he said, "Yeah." He says, "Then screw everybody else. Do what you want, do best. You know, if it makes them laugh, then that's what you want. You know, who cares about what the critics say?" But apparently he's lost sight of that, so at what works and what doesn't. I'll probably watch it just to see how bad it's going to be. I don't think Eddie Murphy's really done a really hilarious film for quite a while. You know, it used to be pretty good until the mid-90s or whatever, and then anything after that hasn't been really all that funny as far as I'm concerned. But we'll see. One more thing I'd like to talk to you about this week is I just got done playing the PS1 classic called Legend of Legaia. I remember playing this back in the day when it first came out. I loved the game, so I went and played it again just here recently. This is perhaps when they talk about RPGs, video games from like PS1 or earlier, this is perhaps, without a doubt, the best RPG classic ever made. At least it's in the top 10 of everyone's list, I guarantee it. For me personally, it's number one. But this is one of the classics that everyone talks about. And there's a reason why. It's not so much that it has to have a good story, which it does. I love the story. It's a great story. But the reason why it's at least on the top 5 list of everybody's list, for me it's this one, and then Final Fantasy VII and so forth. But the reason why this one is usually number one is because they introduce a new type of action sequence called the Tactical Battle System. And basically it's, instead of just giving the command hey, attack, you know, and then they swipe their sword or whatever the character's supposed to do, you have a sequence of buttons to push, creating like this chain or combo, which causes your character to do a type of martial arts when they attack the monsters. And it's really neat. And there's many different combos. Each time you level up, your combo meter gets longer, so you put more arrow keys into the combo sequence or create an even longer, bigger chain, which causes your character to do more martial arts moves. It was an ingenious idea. It made the game so much better. The only downfall I had with ever playing this game, because I liked everything, the only downfall I really had with this, or complaint I had with this game, as far as the tactical system, was not so much the fighting system, but the magic system. I like the idea of absorbing the monsters to gain magic. That's actually pretty cool. What I didn't like was the summoning, you know. Capturing the creatures, you had to perform your combos or whatever, and you had to beat on a particular type of creature called a Suru, or monster called a Suru. But it had to be an elemental Suru. There's regular Suru, and then there's elemental Suru. And they had a little symbol by them showing them that, you know, they were magical. Now, the more times you beat up on it, that particular type of Suru, the more chance you have of absorbing that Suru and its magical power. A lot of people think you have to hit it with your raw Suru, which is on your arm, to get the magical power. It had to be the last hit, or you know, you just had to beat up on that Suru so many times and create so much damage, and you know, depend on your damage points or whatever, and then you would collect it. I didn't see it that way. I thought it was pretty much random, because there are times when you'll do a combo sequence on the creature and you'll absorb it right off the bat, collect the magic, and then there are other times where you do it where you're constantly having to find battles to fight these type of creatures, and you have to do it multiple times before you can get absorb the creature. I mean, sometimes it just seemed like it took tons of battles to get one. And that's even with the so-called accessory called the Ivory Book, which is supposed to help you collect these creatures. And it's just random. But no, the main thing I didn't like about the magic system was, instead of just giving you the magic power to do, you know, do a fire spell or something like that, it's just summoning, and you would summon these creatures, and the summoning sequence sometimes just takes too daggum long. It's drawn out. Once you've seen it once, you know, you're all right. You don't really need to see it that many times. On top of that, the other thing I didn't like was you could summon these creatures and use them on other creatures, and that's how you build up their levels. They could go up to level 9, but it takes a long time to get them that high. Many summons. The more you summon, the more it goes up in levels. The problem I had with that was they had these type of effects, like it'd be 10% down on your the creature's attack, or you know, their defense, or something like that. These effects did not affect any of the bosses. Like, you could use or summon the creatures to attack the boss, but none of these effects affected any of the bosses. So it's pretty much pointless and useless to use these creatures. at all. I mainly just used the arts. I didn't use any magic because it was just pointless. Because the only point of getting that would be to use it on a boss, and you can't use it on a boss. So what's the point? So I didn't really too much care for the magic. The rest of the game, though, the story was great. I loved the story. There's a couple side quests. They have two major side quests, and in order to get like some of the most powerful magic, you had to collect these Rasura eggs, which eventually turn into you can turn into talismans, and then you can summon the Rasura inside the talisman. There's like 4 or 5 of them, maybe 6, can't remember, but I just played it and I can't remember how many of the horn. I think there's like 5, maybe 6. Anyways, they have a fishing little mini game where you fish for fish, and the different types of fish give you so many points, and then you can take those points and you can buy stuff with them from the fishing pond. It's almost not worth it because it took me hours and hours of fishing to get to the number of points you need to get this particular egg. But then it even took even longer, even more hours to get to a hidden item that you really want, because it allows you to attack twice, an accessory called the War God icon. Man, it was almost not worth it. Hours upon hours. But I did it. I finally got the egg and I got the War God icon, which is very helpful early on in the game. And is very helpful when you go to one of the cities called Seoul, where you play another mini game called the Muscle Dome. You got to go in there and you got to get in these fights or play these little miniature games or whatever to collect coins, not money, not spending money, but these like arcade coins. You collect enough arcade coins, like 100,000 arcade coins, and you get what's called the Earth Egg. The fishing gives you the Water Egg, and then the coins, or the Muscle Dome, gives you the Earth Egg. Oh, I almost said screw the Earth Egg. It was taking an ungodly amount of time to get it done. And it just, because the battle arena, the fights in the battle arena just go on, it just seem to go on. It just takes forever. Unless you're really, really high up in levels. That's my major complaint about some of that stuff. The mini games or the side quests just took way, way too long. You spend hours trying to do the same thing over and over again to collect these items. It's just ridiculous. So that's what my main complaint. And then they had what's called a hidden boss called Lapius or whatever. A big giant bird takes all your magic right off, ambushes you and take all your magic right off the bat. You have something that it gives you called the Evil Medallion, which allows you to attack like 15 times. It's just random though. I didn't even bother with it. I was at like level 40 and went to try to fight him, and he was just 5-6 hits and your character's dead. You know, and it was just ridiculous. None of my characters, even with the Defender chain and a Guardian ring, it just didn't help. You know, he still got past your defense. So I didn't even bother with it. But otherwise, other than that, the game was awesome. It's probably my most favorite RPG of all time. besides Final Fantasy VII. So definitely give this game a try if you're looking for a good, excellent RPG. I give it 2 thumbs up and then some. Number one RPG all time. That's the end of that. Let's get on to your B-rated movies. All right, movie holics. Let's get on to your B movie reviews. We're back to Horror Week again. This time I chose a couple of creature features. They were both done in the 70s. The first one is called The Giant Spider Invasion. It was done in 1975 and it only made about 300 grand, so it really didn't do very well at all. It starred Steve Brody and Barbara Hale. I really don't know them. The basic story is that a meteor crashes in this farmer's field. It causes all kinds of strange anomalies with instruments and stuff. There's a doctor at the university. She sends a message to NASA. NASA picks it up anyway, and they decide they're going to send someone out that way anyway to investigate. So these 2 doctors, they're trying to investigate the area around the crater. They're trying to find the impact site. They don't know where it's at, but they know it's within the area. They're checking out all these strange anomalies. Their computers and stuff are projecting to them as what's going on. You know, electromagnetic stuff and blah blah blah. They're not sure if it's like a mini black hole or some crap like that. But anyways, while they're doing all this and they're trying to find the impact site, you also have a farmer who and his wife who find the impact site on his farm. Now, he finds a bunch of dead cows. The first time he goes out there with her and the impact site. Well, they find these they think they're what looks like rocks. Weird, strange, small rocks. About the size of a good softball or whatever. So they start collecting them. And they go back to the house. He busts one open. When he does, he drops it on the floor and he doesn't see what looks like a tarantula spill out of the rock. He picks up the rock and he finds these like crystals inside the layer in the inside of the rock. Him and his wife think they might be diamonds, so he goes out and he collects some more. When he does, he finds a dead body out there too, and he covers it up. Now the sheriff, just prior to this impact, gets a phone call from a lady who's looking for her husband, who's out riding a motorcycle and he hasn't come home yet. And it's a small town. It's one real small town, so he knows who it is, but he's out looking for him. He's been getting all kinds of strange calls anyway since the meteor hit, and the guy who's playing the sheriff is the skipper from Gilligan's Island, if you ever remember that old TV show. Anyways, the scientists, they eventually come across the impact site or the area it's in, and they notice this giant spider chasing them. And this giant spider just out in the middle of the field. They get away from it, but they think that the impact site has opened up like a mini black hole or extra dimensional portal or something, and there are monsters coming through, and one of them happens to be the giant spider. And the magnetic forces surrounding the site is causing spiders to get bigger. So the farmer, he ends up getting killed hunting for more of them rocks, which were actually eggs. He gets killed by the giant spider. A few people do. It runs into town, causes all kinds of havoc, and then goes back out to the site. Well, the scientists call in to NASA to get some type of instrument that's going to help them close the dimensional portal or mini black hole or whatever. It just shows up at the nick of time, and they're able to close the portal, and that's pretty much it. That's the end of the movie. It was a little bit cheesy. They actually didn't too bad for what, as far as graphics go. There really wasn't a whole lot of graphics, except for when they had to show the giant spider. The rest of the time they were just showing little tarantulas here and there. Not that many actually, either. I think most of the tarantulas I saw were all in the farmhouse of the farmer's place, but and then the giant tarantula, which, I gotta give credit to the crew, whoever did this, for the special effects for the giant spider, because they actually didn't do half bad. I mean, yeah, you could still tell it was fake, but at the same time, there were scenes where they're trying to make it look like the giant spider's walking across the field or something like that, and it actually looked half-ass decent, to be honest. But and then some shots you knew for a fact that was fake as hell. But other than that, the acting was mediocre. It was okay. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't all that great either. I don't know. I kind of found the film a little boring, to be honest. It really wasn't all that great. It was just, okay. So this film gets a thumb up and a thumb down. Alright, moving on. The next creature feature that I watched was called something that was done in 1974. It was called Phase 4. And apparently it didn't do well at all, because I didn't see any box office numbers on this thing. It starred someone named Nigel Davenport, Michael Murphy, and Lynn Frederick. Boy, where do I begin with this one? This one was kind of strange. there was some type of solar event. Our sun kind of did some crazy burst of radiation or something at some point in time, and no one really noticed that much about what it did or anything. Not hardly anyone paid attention to that it happened. And apparently the only thing it did to anybody down on Earth is it caused ants to become intelligent. No other species, just ants. I was kind of like, what the heck? At the very beginning of the movie, I mean, it just goes in for like 15, almost 20 minutes. It shows this ant running around in these tunnels or whatever. 15 to 20 minutes. That's literally the whole beginning of the movie. And I was just like, oh my gosh, are they ever going to get this thing started or what? But finally they got it started. It probably wasn't really that long. It's probably about 10 minutes, but it felt like a good 15, 20 minutes. I just watched some ant crawling through these damn tunnels. And that's it. And the eerie 70s music. Eventually the movie starts, and you have these two scientists. One of them's an expert on studying ants. The other one's kind of more of a mathematician, but he's trying to find ways to communicate with different animals that he thinks might be intelligent. They show up and they meet this family. Three senior citizens and what looks like a young teenage girl. And they tell them they need to get out or evacuate to a different place because they're going to run some experiments, and the ants have already shown aggression in the area to some people and things, and they need to get out for their own safety. And then they go set up their base camp so they can study these ants. Apparently, the government has gotten word about these ants and they want them studied. They want to find out what's going on with them. So, throughout the movie, the main doctor, the guy who's the ant expert, he keeps trying to basically through most of the movie, he finds them fascinating, even though they're killing, and he wants to study them more at first, but later on, he eventually wants to kill them all, and he tries several times. So they've kind of started like a little war between the ants. At first they weren't getting anything from him, no intelligent responses or anything. So he goes out there and destroys these weird looking mounds that they built to get their attention right off the bat. And of course, like I said, it starts a little war between them. They try to cook them inside their little dome, like it looks like a big igloo dome. And they try, the ants try to burn them out with like solar panels that heats up the dome. And then the ants kill the AC unit. The only time the two guys can cool off is during the evening. They burn during the day. the main scientist, he spills out something he calls yellow, some type of chemical. It kills the family because they never left, and they headed towards the dome. The little girl survives. Teenage girl survives. They bring her back in there too with them, so she suffers with them. And eventually the doctor gets bit. The main ant guy, he gets bit, and he's dying from this bite or whatever. His arms all screwed up, bloated, like an allergic reaction type look, swollen. The other guy, he almost gets around to communicating with the ants, figuring out their language. By the end of the movie, though, they figure out that the ants want somebody inside the dome. They just don't know who. Well, the doctor ends up falling in a pit trap that the ants created, and they kill him that way. And then the other guy, you know, the girl, she sneaks out thinking it's her, and they take her. Well, the other guy, he decides, well, maybe the other guy's right. Maybe we shouldn't try to communicate. We should just kill him off. So they think they located the queen bee, and that's what he's going to go do. He's going to kill the queen bee. Or ant, sorry. The queen for the ants or whatever. He goes to kill it. When he does, he finds the young girl. And apparently the ants want him for some type of evolutional change, where they can change the humans and mesh the ants with them and create a whole new species or some crap. It's weird. It's bizarre. The ending, they have the regular ending doesn't show it, but if you go on and look on YouTube for the special ending, or the ending that they cut off, the director's cut, I guess is what you would call it. It's a montage of weird ass crap, and it makes no sense. So I understand why they cut that off. Like I said, it's a weird movie. It just made no sense. Apparently, you know, we're supposed to become slaves of the ants or some crap like that. It was kind of dumb. But anyways, the acting wasn't like really horrible. It just really wasn't all that good either. The story was a little bit strange. I found it a little odd. It's an interesting story. I just think they went in the wrong direction with it. No really special effects in this one. It was all, you know, modernized stuff, so no special effects, except for the, you know, the ants. You know, all they did was show stop motion for some of the ants. You know, like you were watching a nature channel or whatever. Is basically what it looked like. Otherwise, the story was interesting. The acting wasn't horrible. But by the time you got to the end, you were just like really confused, like what the heck, you know, it made no sense. I don't know. I give this one a thumbs up and a thumbs down. It barely passes the margin of watchable as far as I'm concerned. But feel free to watch these movies if you want. I mean, and like I said, they're not really all that great. Anyways, that's all I have for you this week. If you have any suggestions or maybe some gems of B movies I might have missed, please leave them down in the comment section down below. And I'll get around to reviewing them as soon as I can and get back with you on them. That's all I have for you this week. I'll see you next time. Hope you liked the video, and I told you to be told the truth, and you just been told.